Hello there, watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with the political editors of The Sun and The Guardian, Harry Cole and Pippa Crerar. Welcome to both of you, with us from now until just before midnight. So to the front pages then, let us start with the Financial Times reporting that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the rebel faction which toppled the Assad regime, is attempting to assert its control over Syria, prompting fears of violence with its rivals. The Mirror also leads on Assad's downfall following the lightning rebel offensive in Syria. The headline there, the rat of Damascus. Chronic threat to our security. The warning on the front of the Daily Mail over potential ISIS prisoners being released from Syria. The Guardian reports on investigations into hidden underground cells believed to have held prisoners of the Assad regime. The Times also has that story, its headline, Search for Captives Who Escaped Assad's Noose. And the Telegraph leads with the Home Office decision to temporarily pause the asylum applications of people attempting to come to the UK from Syria. And reporting on the trial for the murder of 15-year-old Eliane Andam, the Metro has the shocking headline, Stabbed to Death for a Teddy Bear. Well, the Express has this story on the impact of increases to national insurance on children's hospices. And the Sun leads on the sacking of Premier League referee David Coote. And according to NASA's boffins, the Daily Star's favourite planet Uranus holds the key to the secrets of the universe. Don't forget to scan the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme. You can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you listen to our guests. Let's head to Harry and Pippa. What an extraordinary weekend in Syria.
Yeah.
And the revelations now of torture in the cells, deep in the cells, they're still trying to access, which is on the front page of the Financial Times, which ruminates about how you forge a nation after an autocracy like this and whether it is indeed possible to do so.
Yeah, and that's, of course, the issue, the concern which is occupying or preoccupying Western governments right across the world and also other governments in the Middle East, that in a region which is obviously still haunted by the chaos that followed the regime change in Libya and going further back to Iraq. How is this going to play out? And experts in Syrian politics seem to be divided between those who say that Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, this group which obviously formerly was allied with al-Qaeda and cut that affiliation with them in 2016, so not that long ago, between those that argue that they will be reformist and law-abiding, that they want to see the smooth transition of power, and that they recognise the need that to have sort of credibility on the international stage and the financial support that comes with that, they need to at least show that they're respecting the political processes. And those who point to the many other examples we've had in recent years in the Middle East, of one set of chaos following another, and you know, point to Afghanistan with the Taliban, of course, initially promised and delivered in the short term stability, but is now doing things like, you know, banning women from becoming midwives and going back to the worst sort of theocracy, the worst part of theocracy that existed previously under Taliban rule in Afghanistan. So very, very sort of divided opinion on how this will work out.
Yes, and a divided nation in terms of factions who came together with the common goal of getting rid of Bashar al-Assad after, you know, 24, 23 years for him and more for his father, back to more than 50 decades, and how you then bring the factions together or it disintegrates effectively with the Kurds in the northeast, for example, who are themselves fighting Turkey.
Absolutely. I mean, you see the reaction from the British government today, from the Americans, from the West, which basically let's just see how this goes. It's not quite better the devil you knew, but you know, they are clearly making attempts to sort of seem like, as Pippa said, seem moderate. There was an amazing piece today I read where they've sort of almost got their sort of first sort of week's plans, which is a better mobile phone signal, new bus routes, and not quite potholes, but it does sound like the sort of, you know, not the sort of thing you'd expect a former leader of Al Qaeda to be saying. So they are obviously going to try. They are meeting with Assad's aides, as the FT report today. They're sitting down with ministers who are still sitting in their ministries, essentially trying to run the country. But the public sector of Syria is obviously ground to a total halt. You know, these early days are incredibly important in the fact that keeping some semblance of stability. But the joy, I think, will probably turn to anger on the streets of Syria when you see the images coming out of the regime prisons on the front pages of lots of the papers tomorrow. The nooses, the 4 or 5, underground layers of prison cells that they're still trying tonight to be able to access because they don't have the codes or security. They can see on CCTV prisoners trapped beneath the surface. We're reporting tomorrow that there was a body press discovered. Some people literally put in a press. And when that sort of starts to permeate around the country, I think that sort of initial jubilation. Yes, Assad is gone, the bad guy is gone, but the anger, is there. And then also you've got the secondary problem, the massive problem of who are these people that are sweeping in? Have they just put a blazer and a tie on and pretending to be moderates, or are they still the baddies that we once feared they were?
Yes, and how Islamic will they end up being?
Exactly.
Sunni, Shia, what does it mean also for...
the minorities, the Christian minorities in the country?
The minorities, indeed so.
And will they be able to, they're making lots of nice noises now, giving conscripts an amnesty, but how long will that actually last?
Yeah, indeed so. And what it means regionally as well. Clearly, Israel has been bombing. The US has been bombing. One wonders if eventually Turkey will be bombing. They seem to have supported this group that's come through. And in the meantime, what it means for the people who've been held, the ISIS people, both in the Kurdish area, you think of Shamima Begum, but other people that the West is more concerned about, certainly in terms of what might happen to them if they're also released, like people are releasing the prisoners.
So those parts of northern Syria, Kurdish-led parts of northern Syria, there's about 12,000 ISIS members being held in jails across the region. About 2,000 of them are foreign fighters held in prisons. A number of those will be British origin. And of course the question, they were locked up for the terror campaign that they unleashed across Syria and threatened across other parts of the world as well. And it's going to be, so far, as I suggested, so far the Kurdish led north remains, the Kurds remain in control, but they're under pressure of the Turkish border as well. I think crucial to it will be what the US decides to do. The US staged airstrikes against some of the sort of military installations that were left behind over the weekend. There's 900 chemical weapons. The Israelis did as well. There's 900 US troops in the area. It would be crucial for stabilisation. And Trump, of course, has threatened to withdraw. So let's see what he does as well when he comes to power.
Let's just see the Daily Telegraph quickly as well. Asylum cases on hold amid terror fear. It's also your byline on the front of The Sun as well. Halt on Syria asylum in the UK. You could make a presumption it's because some of these people will want to go home again. But what is the real reason?
Well, there's two reasons that they're doing this tonight. One, obviously, as we've been discussing, there's the issue of you have some terribly bad people who now probably might get let out. We don't know that's necessarily sure, but that risk has suddenly gone up dramatically, that some of the people that were being, almost a sort of marriage of convenience with Assad in the fact that he was part of the sort of post-ISIS world of actually locking up some pretty terrible people who want to do us all harms. Then you've also got the issue, you've got 6,000 people here, you've got 6,000 Syrians in the UK already who are claiming asylum because they want to come to this country. 99% of Syrians, 3,000 of them, who claimed asylum last year were approved because they said they can't go back. They can't go back to Syria because they'll be persecuted by Assad. Now, Assad is gone. What happens to these people that are here? Suddenly these cases start to look a little bit flimsy if their entire reason that they can't go back to Syria is because they'll be persecuted. So a bit of a headache for the Home Secretary, one, on the sort of #1 job of the Home Secretary, which is to protect the country from terrorists and bad people, and number two, the political issue of the fact that she's under huge pressure to get asylum numbers down, and actually this throws the whole thing into doubt.
I mean, the fallout is extraordinary from this, isn't it? It's so wide-ranging, has to be said. Lots more still to come in the next part of our programme. The Chancellor attempting to maintain ties with the European Union. How did she get on with that? Back in just a moment.
I'm David Blevins, and I'm Sky's senior Ireland correspondent.
It takes 60 minutes to cross the Irish Sea. It took the British monarchy a century.
I've spent 30 years reporting the journey from conflict to peace.
The political parties of Northern Ireland have reached agreement.
If there's anyone who might know how to fix Northern Ireland's devolved government, it's the American architect.
Changes in circumstance require changes in approach.
The end of the political stalemate, the start of a new chapter for Northern Ireland.
I confirmed that I am willing to take up the office of First Minister. My election to the post of First Minister demonstrates the change that's happening on this island.
Catholics and Protestants on different sides, now facing the same threat.
If we both contract COVID-19 and end up in hospital, religion's nothing.
People here are adept at finding hope amid adversity. That's the spirit of a place that punches way above its weight.
We help you understand the world with us. A toxic blue-green algae now poisoning Loch Ness. It's breaking your heart what has happened here.
It is.
This is a vital resource, a national treasure, now fighting for its very life.
They are effectively surrounded by Northern Ireland, and that makes this the most unlikely of international frontiers.
If there's a hard border, I think it'll cripple the country.
Winter is coming.
Welcome to Winterfell. It's an iconic location in this globally acclaimed drama. Ophelia was the most powerful hurricane this far east in the Atlantic on record.
Sky News, the full story first.
There's always more to the news than a headline. We want to discover, to delve a little deeper, to find out what's really going on. Explanation, analysis, the people at the heart of every story. I'm Neil Patterson, and this is the Sky News Daily Podcast. So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Jubilation in the streets, while some emotional.
This is a political victory for Prime Minister Modi and his Hindu Nationalist Party. I'm Neville Lazarus, and I'm Sky's reporter based in Delhi. Companies like these are helping India in its trajectory to be a serious player in space exploration. Sky News, get the full story first.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. A new start to Sunday. I'm ready. Are you? Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Well, welcome back. You are watching the press preview. With me once again, Harry Cole and Pippa Crerar. Moving away from Syria briefly. Rachel Reeves, where was she and why?
Rachel Reeves been in Brussels, which lots of, it's the first time, I think, since Brexit, I think it's correct to say it's the first time since Brexit that she's gone to one of these sort of big Euro groups as a chancellor, which is a sort of overture, part of Keir Starmer's big reset. He wants to, when the sort of deal already comes up for review next year, sort of go a little bit further, get some sort of some concessions on, easing up some of the checks on goods and things at the borders. To the sort of Brexiteers of the world, just your eyes will start to swivel as you hear him say, what's on the table in return for that. He still hasn't really denied that he's looking at some sort of free movement accord for the under-30s, perhaps for students. The Europeans are very desperate to get their younger people into this country because lots of their people want to come here more than we want to go there. So she was there, and she was sort of doing this sort of delicate line, and this sort of government line that they've got at the moment, which is quite a hard one to sort of tightrope to walk. That you've obviously got Donald Trump coming in America, basically trying to ease Britain back into the American orbit, away from Europe. Seeing Brexit as he's a big supporter of Brexit, seeing it as an opportunity to sort of re-establish the Atlantic alliance, and then you've obviously got Keir Starmer, a natural gut instinct Europhile, who desperately would like to go the other way, I suspect. But in the middle of this, you've got the threat of tariffs, you've got China, you've got the trade wars, and Reeves was desperately trying to do this sort of balancing act, which I think ministers will find it able to do until crunch time, when they actually have to decide who you're going to sign with. Are you going to start reopening trade talks with Donald Trump? He's not a patient man. can if he wants to, if he wants that to happen.
And he
will
wants
say
tariffs,
it very vocally. Or are we going to lash ourselves to Europe, which seems to basically be, going down the Swanee?
But is
our biggest trade partner for now. But Germany's great as flatlining. France is basically about to be taken over by the far right. Italy is basically the only stable bit of Europe. When Italy is the most stable bit of Europe, you have to think, God, we're well out of this, right?
There's more than just 3 countries in Europe. It is our biggest trading partner by far. We're not going to get an FTA with
America.
the States. We're not. Harry, you've been saying we're going to get an FTA for... If we're going to accept...
Since 2016 when Trump came in.
Hormone-injected beef and chlorinated...
Project Fit.
It's the reason. 2.0. It's the reason why British consumers thus far have rejected... British governments have rejected thus far...
BBC have poisoned the debate for decades.
The Conservative government has failed to sign an a free trade agreement with the US because they knew that British consumers would not accept agricultural...
fake news about the NHS.
They knew that Britain would not accept agricultural products from the States.
If you miss Brexit. Anyway, very quickly, I'm going to jump ahead, if you don't mind, to mince pies.
Well, here we go.
I saw the drop,
Prices
it's gone
are
up
rising.
40%, but I didn't know why. So why?
Well, I'm going to totally actually wing this story, having read it about 8 seconds ago. Apparently the price of sultanas are up because of bad sultana harvest. If only we had a free trade agreement with the United States, we could probably get cheaper grapes and we could dry them ourselves or something like that.
Alternatively, we could get them from Italy and Southern Europe probably for half the price, given it's just down the road.
So the price of a premium mince pie has jumped from £1 to £3.50. I mean, but basically everything's more expensive.
All right, you know what? Don't buy your mince pies, is my answer. Make them yourself.
Yeah, but you have to get sultanas to make the mince pies. It doesn't honestly...
cheaper than buying them.
My mum does very good ones with orange peel in it. I think she might be watching.
And then I put some
early request
chopped
for the
apple and a bit of
the orange
liqueur.
peel mince pies.
Next week, Harry's mum can bring in some mince pies from his mum for us to try on the paper review.
Thank you both very much indeed. See you for more in the 11. Harry and Pippa will be back. The latest on Syria to come.
Play Sky News.
From the Sky News Centre at 7.
Now that you're up to date, we can go into a bit more detail.
Things can change incredibly quickly.
Taken by surprise.
Have you ever known a moment like this in British politics before?
Yes.
Cheers.
We'll start with breaking news.
Let's get the latest on the ground.
So, by the end, we'll hopefully all understand what's going on in the world just that little better.
The most significant day of this conflict.
They keep telling us that they want aid.
And this is what's left of it.
Why only in America?
People want their country to work.
You want a job in a normal life.
Why are these homes empty?
I want you to be honest with people.
That has happened within minutes.
Sky News, the full story first. Free wherever you get your